Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast, the podcast that bridges wisdom from generation to generation. And I'm your host, Coach Furtado, Justin Furtado. Today's guest is the one and only Tex Keith / Tex Kelly. Tex is a TikTok superstar with millions of followers, 100,000 followers on Instagram. But he has played college football, he's been a successful entrepreneur, and is now acting. And he's a good friend of mine. We played baseball together in high school, and he's been really mentoring me for these past few years on content creation and entrepreneurship. And we talk all things from leading by example to making a huge impact and following our passions and just being true with who we are and just doing it. So, without further ado, let's dive right in. Hello and welcome to the Bridging Impact Podcast, Tex. I'm thrilled for our conversation today. For those listening, Tex is a good friend of mine. We played, baseball together, we went to high school together. He's been a mentor of mine for entrepreneurship and business, and he's just also one of the funniest and kindest human beings that I personally know. So I'm thrilled to have you on today, Tex, and Thanks for being here, man.
Oh, dude, thanks for having me. And dude, that's so true because I remember when we first met, when I came to Arcata High sophomore year, and you're just like the biggest hype man for sports and everything. It was so cool. So that's really dope that we're doing this like years later.
Yeah. No, I'm still a hype man, except now I'm just hyping up the kids. And so with that, exactly. The first question that I always ask our guests is, what is your definition of impactful leadership, and how does it apply and show up for you in your everyday life?
For me, I think like my definition would be along the lines of knowing who you are and living that. And leading by example for that. So like for me, I know who I am and I know what I want to do in life. And I know how I want to treat people, and I live that, and I try to stay consistent to that. Sometimes you falter for sure, but I think that consistency and doing that and living by your morals is impactful leadership. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So, with that, right, like for those that are listening, they're like, oh, that's a great definition, but they're like, what does this Tex guy do? So, let's share, where does that come from, and how did where you come from lead to where you are today?
Yeah. So I'd say like from ground up, it came from my dad, because he was someone who like never strayed from morals or anything. And he always just did the right thing. And then integrity was just pushed onto me really, really hard as a kid, like doing the right thing when no one was looking. So I think that's where it starts. And then it really was exemplified through sports. I started football freshman year of high school, and like most people know this story. I was like 104 pounds. I was this height, so I was about 5'11", 3/4. And depending on which tape measurement you use, it's 6 foot or 5'11", 3/4. And I was just a string bean, tiny kid. And freshman year of high school, I decided I was going to play football. And my dad was like, okay, it's going to be really, really hard for you to do this, but if you're going to, like, you're going all in, and you're working when nobody else is working. So he would get me up at like 4:30 in the morning, out in Arizona, Mile High City up in Prescott. Like, it's very, very cold in the morning and gets super hot during the day. So it'd be freezing on those like 2-mile runs around the block, and then go and train on the field before school, during obviously practice, and then after school too. And then sometimes even after practice, run or put like a weighted vest on and do that. And so that's like my life every day. And I stayed really consistent to that, and made varsity my freshman year. And that was really cool. It was something that I was just like kind of blown away by. And that was like really my first taste of leadership, like being shown and doing everything by example, and working harder than anybody else in the room, just no matter what the circumstance is or whoever else was, the technical leader. And then sophomore year, I moved to Arcata, and this is where like the doing the right thing and like really sticking to your morals and and all that, like really stuck because Arcata was like a losing program, and it was even when I
terrible.
graduated there. And I had the opportunity to move to 2 different schools at the time, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to stick with it and lead by example and show like if I can make it, which was like, you know, you have that dream of making it regardless of whatever program you're at, and then you have the dream of like, okay, I'm on a losing program here, and if I can make it and show that I can make it, then there's really no excuse, and hopefully it kind of inspires someone or the next generation. So I did that and got like first team All-American, first team All County, and then was invited to like the All-American Combine and for the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, and got some like other awards and accolades that don't really matter, but the lesson in that was like it just living by example and not having your circumstance be an excuse to go after what you really want and to really put in the work. And I mean, there was like 6 days in those 6 years that I probably took off, and like that was pretty wild. So I didn't end up making it to college and playing college ball for a second, and then I got into business, and that was really cool because it was there's a couple of learning lessons there, but it really taught me like all of this stuff that I worked through with sports applies to life too, like showing up, working harder than everybody else in the room, leading by example, doing the things that you don't really want to do, and doing it anyways to get stuff done and to move your team along. So that was like a huge thing. It definitely made it a lot easier to crack into that world, and it's made it a lot easier to crack into entertainment too, because that's something like you definitely have to work hard and almost always be on go and ready. And so I feel like with sports, like getting beat up every week, losing and everything teaches you like how to take loss and to keep on putting in your maximum effort. And then like with business, it was the same way, and dealing with people. So like, yeah, that's kind of like where I'm coming from in leading with like leadership. And yeah, I think just trying to be you throughout the whole process and working hard, and you know, whoever watches it, they're probably going to get something from that.
I think there's a lot of gold nuggets right in there, and I kind of want to turn back the clock a little bit to what you were beginning to talk about with sports specifically, because there's a lot of coaches and people that just work with youth that are listening to this podcast. And,
yeah,
you know, when you're going through that, you know, those times, those are challenging times to be on a losing team, to do the right thing and get up at 4:30 in the morning, to know that you're probably going to get beat on that Friday night.
Yeah.
You know, and that you have that your offensive line, you know, God bless them, and you love them as people, but maybe they weren't the most skilled, you know, football players, yeah. Right? Yeah. What kind of mentors and coaches did you have around you to help get you through those moments?
You know, what's interesting is because I was talking with my girlfriend the other day about this, like formal mentors and informal mentors. Mm-hmm. Formal mentors are like people you really have in your life and you can talk to and everything. And then informal mentors is like, you know, for me, it'd be like Gary Vee, like reading his book and
right.
or watching, you know, their like podcasts or something. So I didn't really have too many formal mentors. My dad was that with sports and just in pushing me and never letting, you know, me make an excuse for not winning or anything like that. Like so that he was my formal mentor, a little bit with my coach, but I mean, there's no drag on him. I just don't, you know, it's just not, I don't know, probably not the right program for him, or maybe not the right circumstance with the schooling or whatever it may be. But he definitely had the cards stacked against him for that program. And then for informal mentors, man, looking up to like Russell Wilson, I used to watch Johnny Manziel game footage until like 2 a.m. in the morning, and then get up sometimes at like 4 or 5 and get ready for school and everything. But I was just so obsessed with like the greats and seeing how they did it. And like Russell Wilson's story was something that really, really inspired me in high school. And then I got to train with him twice, junior year and then senior year, or right before senior year. meet Kurt Warner and Michael Irvin and those guys. And Frank Clark, who's now a linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, like his rookie year, I went up to Seattle and met them all in the hotel. And that was just so cool. And in watching these guys and kind of emulating their style, Russell and I were the same height. So it's like, I knew that if he can make it, I can make it, and I was almost delusional with it because I thought I was like, I'm going to the NFL. I'm going to win this week. I knew I was going to get beat up, but like, I thought every single time going into the game that I could win, like I can help us win. Like we can actually do it. So I think having a little bit of delusion in it definitely helps and takes it a long way. Cause like the one game that we won,
I do remember that.
That was crazy, and like I rolled out, it's like 6 seconds left on the clock. And it was to tie it with Hoopa. And I knew where Tristan was going to be, big old Tristan Espy. I knew where he's going to be. And I throw it there and I get clobbered. He catches it and we go into overtime. And then that first play was a run with Malik and we win. And, like I knew we were going to win that game. And like, then I knew we were going to win Trinity, but we didn't. And I knew we were going to win the next few games, but we didn't. And I think having that like positive mentality just helped me play at a higher level and never let an excuse happen and it really made me like better as an athlete too. Cause they just giving you your maximum effort and getting pushed outside your comfort zone, you're going to grow.
Absolutely. So yeah. I'm kind of almost hearing in this that you had this like unwavering confidence and obviously, you're talking about a little bit of delusion, of course, that you were going to win, but that's obviously applied to your life in business and now obviously with entertainment and TikTok and acting. So with that being said, I'm curious, how do coaches and how do those that are working with youth, obviously continue to instill that into their players and athletes, because most people aren't going to play professionally, and even the pros have life post pros, right? So you got to learn those skills of unwavering, self-confidence and belief to keep going. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if I could speak too much on how coaches should do, but for me, one of the couple of the most impactful coaches I ever had in my life. Well, there's three. It's my high school. Before I moved to Arcata, I went to Bradshaw Mountain, and my coach was David Moran. He actually played with my dad in high school.
Oh wow!
And his dad was the coach of them. So we got two Morans, Steve and David, and Steve was like so impactful on my dad, and then the next generation with David. David told me, as soon as you cross that white line, like the goal is just to get better, like an inch every single day, like, and eventually that just compounds, and you realize, you look back and you're like, holy shit, look at how far I've come, and like that's kind of like something I would instill, like to get better just a little bit each day. You don't have to go to the pros or anything like that, but if there's something that you can look back on, a challenge that you can overcome, whether it's doing 10 gassers and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to do this eighth, sometimes even the first, and you're like, what the heck did I get myself into? But you hold on to that, like that bottom line of like, I'm trying to get 1% better today, and I'm trying to move my team forward. And I think it helps to like really have your team in your mind too, because you want to push them and you want to inspire them as much as you can too. Like I never did a solo sport, I've never done like tennis or golf or anything like that. It's always been team sports, like baseball with you. And even though I didn't get to play that senior year, it's like so cool of like, I know I'm gonna work hard with these guys and at least bring that energy, because your teammates can feel that for sure. If you're working hard, if you're positive and you're pushing your teammates around you, it's gonna help them too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna just touch on that real quick. I mean, I still remember Be Great 8, and I believe Jackson Hellman was, and you were always on the fence cheering. You didn't have a bad attitude whatsoever. You probably you had maybe 3 to 5 at bats all year, but still always smiling, always being just a great team player, and with
I felt lucky to be a part of that program. I felt so lucky.
That was fun.
That was
so much fun.
I mean, that team made Arcata history, so it's had some really great players. You, Wyatt, Adam had a great year, junior year that year. Geronimo and
Gmo,
you really brought it home for us too. You talk about living up to the moment and the challenge. You twice, I think that year, we wouldn't have won or even gone to the championship had it not been for you. And so it's you live up to the moment and you have your team around you. I think if a player is negative, they're not going to bring that out of their teammates. So I think everybody being on board, and then that situation being present to you, your attitude impacting the rest of the guys, just made for a perfect combination in a storm of excellence and high standards and ending up winning a championship. And I think all the players that year were really on it. Wyatt was really on it. He got so freaking into it. I think one time we were playing Kelseyville or something like that, and it was just so cool to that's a winning mentality. And then we won, and that's it just goes to show you got to really be on board, and each player has such a huge impact, bigger than they know.
Yeah, so much bigger than they know. And I think that team was special though. And I think that team was such a team. If I ever think about a team, we enjoyed hanging out with each other and thinking back to it, we enjoyed hanging out with each other without getting blitzed or drunk. We actually genuinely liked hanging out. And I think that was different. And I think that kind of goes to the genuine specialness of great championship teams is that they actually enjoy one another and encourage one another and uplift people. Because I can think about all those fun memories when we were traveling. I still have that picture from all of us when we went to the A's game, and George, so it's just those memories that just last forever.
Yeah, and that will last forever. That was my first time ever going to watching a professional baseball game, was with you guys. And so that year was really, really cool for me. I may have really ruined,
crazy, man,
hurt my elbow, throwing with Adam. And
probably for sure.
That game was, that whole year, that season was just amazing. And I think about that a lot. And even Jackson's dad buying my championship ring for me too, because my family, we couldn't afford that, and he did that, and that meant a lot, man.
No, it was truly it was a very special team. And I'd love to kind of, ask a little bit about how some of these, life lessons of whether it be baseball. I was definitely thinking about football and writing and talking about you were getting your butt beat, and how does that really helped you, these challenges that you went through and this camaraderie and these, different avenues of sport really help you in life, and especially to where you are now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think every challenge that you kind of come across just prepares you for the next one. Yeah. So it's the callus, the scars that are building on your life, it's strengthening you, and it's a muscle being pushed further than it usually goes. You recover and all that stuff, and you just get stronger. So I think that's what life does to you. And then taking it up as a challenge, you can do it, because if someone else has done it, there's no reason why I can't do it. And Dad used to always say that to me. One time he took apart an Xbox that had the red eye of death, and I was like, dude, there's no way you're gonna fix this. I was devastated.
Right.
And he literally took it apart, and his hands were way bigger than mine, and I have no couth with that stuff. And he took it apart, he put it back together, and it worked again. So, and his explanation was, somebody put it together, somebody made this. It's definitely possible, and you just figure it out. And so that's always helped me out is like, you figure it out. And, and there's like the challenge of like, ooh, if I could do this, like, it just adds to a really, really cool story and a lot of lessons to be learned, making it to like college and getting accepted, and even like having a walk-on opportunity at U of O. I remember that like time that was just so wild and so high with emotion, because like junior year I had negative rushing yards because I was sacked so many times. And that was wild,
Yeah.
when your linemen are like the size of you, like it just doesn't, it's not a good combo. So like I looked at that season and I put like 0-10 up on my wall, and every morning, I'd do my run, and then 100 to 200 sit-ups and push-ups, and then go and train. And as I'm doing the sit-ups, I'm like, every time I'm getting up and I'm looking at that, and even on my locker, like there's these small messages like, why not you? That's a huge one that Russell Wilson had said when they won the Super Bowl. And that's a big question, because it's like when you ask that, you're like, okay, well, you open up your possibilities, and you say, well, why not? Like, why can't I be the one to do it? And if anyone's going to do it, like it should be me. And so I was like, if anyone's going to come out of this program, like, and go to the next level as a quarterback, and with a super, super losing record there, like, why can't it be me? And so I did that, and I was really excited to do that and work hard. And I think it really did make me better as an athlete, because I knew that like I said, the delusional I want to win and I'm going to really push me, and I got so much faster. Like I like junior year, I went from 135 to 185 in weight. I had a lot of potatoes, a lot of peanut butter jelly sandwiches, a lot of like rice, and then so I was a little heavier, still all right with the speed. But then that junior year going into senior year, I really focused on getting fast and getting so much stronger, and that helped going into senior year, because I got sacked here and there, but I wasn't getting sacked near as I was, because I was much more, I'll flee out of the pocket and run, or go right into the linebackers. I didn't care who it was, and that really did help to sharpen the skills and your toughness. You get tougher every time, and my dad really helped me with that too. He's a giant, 6'6", 380-pound guy. So like roughhousing with him is like fighting someone who was actually my age. And like I never bruised. I never bruised in college because of that. And college was actually way easier than high school in terms of like the competitiveness, even though everybody is so much better and faster. Like I just felt like I got really beat on in high school. And it didn't feel like that when I was playing in college.
Yeah. So, I mean, it felt like it's almost just like it gave you those calluses, that toughness, that thickness, that why not me mentality that has really kind of catapulted and propelled you to where you are, as a TikTok star today. Right. Yeah. And as, an actor, and like, it's like, seriously, why not you? And I remember watching, I've probably seen this video multiple times of you asking your dad, like how he took care of you and your brother, with limited resources. And he just like, I just figured it out. Yeah. And I think you just you just figure it out.
You just did it. And he's like, I just did. And like, it's always cool. And that's why I like, one of the reasons why I really love my girlfriend too, is she's like a mom of four, and she really, there's never an excuse, and she's still working too. And, you just do it. And once you get in the mentality of like doing it, then you kind of, everything else, you figure it out. And, like whether you can or you can't, like if you don't believe you can, you definitely won't.
Definitely can.
But if you believe you can, you just might, and it might be the odds, and you figure out the structure that you need to succeed and make those achievements and all that stuff. And, but yeah, your mentality is just so there. And I think yeah, like the more you lose and everything, like you're given options every single time to keep going, to keep getting stronger from it. There's always lessons to be learned, and whether it's through loss or not getting your way with certain things, like yeah, there's always something, a silver lining, as they say.
Right. Yeah, no, and silver linings can be tough to like, understand in the moment
Yeah,
and really just like grapple with. Because sometimes, like, I know for me, like something that has a recent challenge is moving to LA and like
yeah,
being a big city, like, and living in downtown LA. Like, I was just so far out of my comfort zone. It like
oh
rattled
yeah,
me. It shook me. It like shook my confidence. But now, like, I'm a year in and like, I'm loving LA and like I feel like I'm a more confident leader because I went through it. I worked with people that, have barely spoke English, and I figure out how to communicate in different ways and
yeah.
just, be a better person all around and work for people from different cultures and how to navigate traffic and like just doing different things. It forces
Oh
you to
yeah.
grow and become a better human.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really cool that you say that, because I felt every time I go to LA, I feel so intimidated for a second, just because of
Yeah,
everything that there is, and I'm just like, holy shit, like this is a lot. And but then it's
for
like
real.
it's like all these things, all these thousands of things that are in your face, and all like the big
Yeah,
stuff that's happening.
billboards. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can be one of those things for sure, and
Mm,
like you can stick out because they've done it, and there's projects that I don't like, and I'm like, I don't know how on God's green earth that works. And so I'm like,
right.
I could do that. And so it gives me a little bit of perspective there. It's like, it's intimidating, yes, but it's possible. And like it's almost motivating at that point, because you see like there's so many projects, and it's just getting in front of the right
Right.
people to get yours through and to get you to be seen. And um it pushes you harder to just keep on doing what you're doing and keep on that path. And I really believe that like you keep on keeping on, you keep on doing what you need to do, and what you really love to do, and like the universe gravitates things in your life and opportunities to help you on that path. And when you're not on that path and you're doing something that isn't you, I felt that with like everything with the business that I've been running. I got
Yeah.
really, really heavy in weight, and Geronimo had even like talked to me about you know who I was like kind of becoming and all that stuff, and he had a real like heart to heart on that end of things. And I realized, yeah, that wasn't me, and it like life was not fun, and I will never do something that's not like really pushing me, and if I don't want to do it ever again, because there's just there's that thought of like wasted time, but I like that's a huge lesson. And um so like now with entertainment, I really love doing it, and there's so many different ways of doing it too. And I feel like I'm on the right path, and opportunities are coming how they should, even despite still like being here making Humboldt my home base. I didn't get my agent until like a couple months ago, and like that was a huge kind of like, how am I going to do that? Because in order to do that, it's like the chicken, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like you almost have to be down in LA getting noticed or being on set. And
Hmm.
like when I decided to stay up here as home base, my girlfriend and I were talking about that, and she's like, you just keep on continuing on doing what you're doing, and eventually it'll happen. And miraculously it did. He reached out to me via social media, and
That's
I just
amazing.
seen the stuff, and um, it was just really, really cool how that happened, because it's exactly how we kind of planned it to, and how we knew it would eventually happen. Um, so I think just like speaking that stuff out in existence, and then really working hard to get what you want, and living within your morals and all that, like it works wonders.
I couldn't agree more. I'm watching you like kind of like live it out. Like we haven't probably talked in. I think must have. I think it was actually last year, the last time we hung
Yeah,
out
right
in
before I moved
person.
to LA.
Yeah, because it was oh gosh, it was like a Saturday Arts Alive, and
Yeah,
you kind of going through TikTok with me, and and all that. But it's just like, needless to say, it's just like watching. I always knew you were a hard worker, but just like the gravitational pull towards, you know, the entertainment industry and following your heart and following that intuition is like, it's amazing to watch. I'm curious, like, you know, it must have took courage to do that, right? Because when you leap into another, you know, it's another industry, right?
Yeah.
Like it must take some sort of courage. So I'm just curious how you made that leap.
Yeah. So the delusional part definitely helps. You know, like, and I think the fact that you know, how my dad instilled the, like, you can do anything you want in your life. Like you just go do it. And it's not like I had, you know, kids like he did or anything like that. So I really did go after it, and knowing that, like, if I failed in one thing, I could just go do something else and figure it out. And, in like kind of having his approval with when I left football, that was a big thing. Like that, I was very, very scared to do that. And, I was so fearful that my dad would be like disappointed, because he had worked so hard, you know, for so many years to be able to get me to these camps. I think it, like, you know, I know for a fact, like, just by doing the math, it was like $1,000 just to go up to Seattle. And that was big. That was a lot. And, then to go to like one of the top camps in Ohio, that was a lot. And dad got shingles that trip. You know, so, I didn't know until after the thing, like, it was so crazy. So, like, I felt there was like a little bit of guilt, leaving. And then, you know what he tells me, he's like, no, son, you got to do what you got to do. And I love you either way, like, as long as you're you, and all that. So that was so huge for me. Huge. So then when I went into business and I started going down that route and everything, Rex, our good friend Rex, he died January 7th, 2020, and it was by suicide. And that really, like, shook me to the core, because I was already kind of depressed at that point, or a few years into the business. And it made me really think about, like, what I want to do in life. And because I don't want to get to that deep of a point. And that was something that was a friend to me and you. And, like, when it happens to someone close to you, and like that it does shake you quite a bit. So, you know, I really thought about life and what I wanted to do and what I did before football, because there was no way I was going to go back. I couldn't just go perform at like a huge high collegiate level. And knowing that was my mindset, like, there's just no way, because once you have it in your mind, like, that you can't do something, like, you know, it's very, very, yeah, just don't do it.
Yeah, no, it's over.
So I was like, what did I do? And I've always loved entertaining, and I was like the drama club president in high school, and nobody really knew about that. And I performed as a kid, and I sang in choir, and up until the point of hitting puberty, and I didn't sing anymore after that. And so I was like, you know what, I really want to, like, tell stories and get into entertainment. And dad was he was down for that, because he raised me growing up. So I wasn't scared of, like, his disapproval. And it is weird. I mean, I don't know how it would have gone if I didn't have, like, that example in my life of, like, you could do whatever you want. And, you know, if this thing doesn't work out, you hop on to the next, and until you figure out your way and do what you got to do. So I'm really, really, really grateful for Pops in that regard. And I had that delusion that I could do this, I can act. And then I was like, okay, first things first, I got to lose weight, because, you know, my mindset on that was I was 270 pounds. And I didn't want to just be the comedian, as you kind of get trapped in the industry as being, like, if you're that kind of weight. So not that everybody is that, but that's just, you know, how the industry is. And a lot of people get stuck. That's why Jonah Hill has so many freaking problems, is because everybody made him out to be the comedic guy, and he has more stories to tell. And so when he lost weight, like, a lot of people gave him shit for that. And so I just wanted to, I was like, you know what, I know what kind of role I want to play, and I know how really what I want to feel good too. Like I didn't want to be tired all the time and depressed, and I knew that that was taking a huge toll on me. So I started working for Geronimo and losing weight, and he helped me for a few months. I dropped like the rest of the weight that I needed to do, and then I got to do have my first movie experience for The Skies Everywhere. I did background. I literally hit up the lady that I auditioned for the TEDx talk back in 2017, and because I knew she was a casting director, and I said, "Hey, could you like help me? I'll buy you coffee, and I just need some tips and pointers because I'm going into this, and I really want to succeed in it." And she hit me up immediately. We met up the next day, and she's like, "So you're serious about this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Okay, send me a picture of you currently when you get home and like your availability." And she got me doing background for that movie. And it was just like kind of perfect timing because movie sets were coming back from like a huge stop in the industry because of COVID. So that Apple movie was like one of the first ones to be like in production. And that was like such a cool, inspiring experience. And they ended up having me work pretty much the whole time. So that was really cool. It was like a month and a half. And I was just like, yo, this is exactly what I want to do, because seeing how everybody's a team on that. And if you mess up, like you're not only wasting your time, but you're wasting everyone's time. And there's so much money that goes behind it. So it's got to be a smooth running machine. And like the people that work on movie sets are so underrated. Like the acting is the easiest job. That's the easy part. The setting up, the directorial leadership there, that's huge. And I loved seeing it. I loved seeing like the process. And so I was like, okay, I'm all in. And I told my dad I was going to move down to LA in February. And I started TikTok. I got like a new account on TikTok and like posted with Pops, and that one blew up, and then the next couple blew up, and I was like, Dad, like I really think that this could help open up doors in the industry, and people were really nice about it on there too. That really helped. So we kept on doing more, and it went from moving down there in February to moving down there in July, and we ended up doing like 600 pieces of content together, blowing up, getting a couple million followers. And then it was time like to go down there and take that step. And then a month later, and Dad passed away, and that was really, really tough. And, obviously still is. And, I came back up here and really grounded, and it's like, okay, what am I going to do? And I just kept on keeping on with it. And what I told my dad I was going to do, and what I told myself I was going to do, because I still love this, is I'm going to follow through with it. So I kept on creating more content. Met Aaliyah. That's been a huge blessing in my life, and kind of like perfect with the timing. It's kind of weird how that all happens, how life happens like that. And here we are. Like I have a new account and almost as many followers. Not that it matters too much, but like it's grown. There's been a lot of growth on there, on Instagram, and I'm always like, okay, now what's the next thing? And I'm going to start doing some more YouTube stuff and auditioning a ton. My agent, Nick, he's amazing. And I think I did like 5 or 6 last week, which was like a lot, because there's so many scripts. You have to learn the character and then get that over to them, and soaking it all in. And, I feel like I'm really lucky to be able to do all this stuff. And it's just every single day is just one step closer to that goal of the Oscar speech. And I keep having that dream, and dad's there too. So it's really cool, man. It's, every day is different, and just taking it day by day.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your vulnerability in sharing all that, and sharing the wisdom that you have accumulated from this challenging last year. It's been
Mhm.
challenging, and
Yeah.
there's a difference between losing in football and baseball and any sport than losing the people around that matters the most. Like I can't even you can't even put it into words.
Mhm.
So the one thing I will say on that is that I know that your dad is super proud, and that the fact that you're living through him, it just I see you inspiring the next generation of people through acting, through humor, and you talk about that. So I'm very proud to call you a friend and have you on this show. And so
Oh, I really appreciate
I
that, man.
yeah, I just want to just let you know that I appreciate you. And with that, just sharing all this wisdom and knowledge, like with me, like I always like, I've kind of always looked to you kind of like a mentor to me, because you've been always just a little step. Like I'm always been like, I started to get into business right after you, and I started getting into creation right after you, and it's like, I'm gonna steal a little bit from what Tex is doing here and just try and be a little more resourceful like him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, needless to say, I think it's amazing. It's amazing how far we come in a journey and what happens for us in life.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it's that's cool. I mean, as long as you're having fun with it, and you're working hard and everything, and taking care of what you got to take care of, like that makes it a lot easier. It it sucks like not doing what you really want to do, and doing it around people that you love too. I think your
Mm,
environment really helps.
mm,
Um, and yeah, it's like obviously, not, I mean, being too positive doesn't help necessarily. I
right.
mean, there's people who are like way too positive, and then they really crash and burn. But like
Yeah.
knowing that you can feel your feelings and work hard and um, have high standards and not beat yourself up too much when things don't go your way or anything like that. I mean, life is, dude, it's so unique, and um, it's super special. There's a lot of learning lessons every single day, and I think like being introspective and really working on yourself, trying to be a lifelong learner. It's like that's dude, that's the bread and butter.
Yeah, that is a bread butter, and you said it right there. It's just it totally is about the people around you, and I think about that every time. Like I love working with youth, and I love working and giving back to the next generation, coaching basketball. But I like I think back to Boys and Girls Club when I was here in Eugene. Right, the reason I loved it was because of the kids, the people,
Yeah,
and the people I worked with. I think about obviously for us high school baseball, why I didn't love winning championships because I was the only person on the team. I loved it because I loved all the people on my team, and I
yeah,
rode the bench in basketball, but I loved that team, and I had a great group of friends in college because I love those people. Like it's amazing what happens when people come around and
yeah, yeah. We're social
so
creatures.
support you. We're social creatures.
That's a. It's. I mean, you look at like why depression and mental health issues like rose, like really skyrocketed during COVID, is because we weren't around people, and
Yeah.
we weren't, we weren't being what we're designed to do, is like socialize and build community. So like that right there, like
Mm.
it's just so it's important.
So
And
important. I
surrounding
know
yourself with good people.
personally. Yeah, good people, but I know I personally experienced a lot of anxiety during
Yeah.
the pandemic, and I don't even think I really realized it either. Like, I thought I was just spending so much time in my head, and like
Yeah.
I'm still like unlearning it because I was like always hanging out with myself. I had to like I actually it helped me in some ways. Like I helped build a better relationship with myself, but in some ways I went like too deep into my own head and just like was
Yeah.
just totally in my own world, right? And I'm just like I can imagine with you, like, and when you're creating content and you're always on the go, like, how do you balance, being like present, like with the people that matter most and like also like your content grind?
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. It's ooh. Yeah. Well, a couple therapy sessions into that, like it's
Yeah.
definitely finding the balance and, you know, giving them, I think giving the most to, like, if you're with a family, like being present with that, like dad and mom got on me a couple times with when I was like, on my phone, and then
Mm.
living in with this situation with my girlfriend and her four like beautiful kids, like when I'm here, like you never really have to worry about me being on my phone too much, and like I take like the kind of like that parenting aspect. She takes it very serious, so I you gotta um, be there for them,
Right.
and then you realize like your influence is so huge, like for kids and everything. It's incredible. So like if you set that example of like being on your phone all the time and not being present, then
Mm-hmm.
they're going to follow
Mm-hmm.
line and follow suit with that. So there's anxiety with that, and it's like you really don't. I was like, I don't want to fuck these kids up. You know what I mean? So um, I definitely like I enjoy being present with my friends, and um, I take like that, like you not having to worry about me being on my phone all the time, very very serious. And dad wasn't on his phone, and he actually hated his phone, so
No
that really
surprise
helped.
there.
I got to spend so much time with him, and
Yeah.
the way, despite him having to work all the time, like he brought me along uh, jobs with him, and that was the way that we got to spend good quality time and have so many conversations, and um, just so much wisdom. So I think like knowing that I was loved and everything and reflecting on that and reflecting on like how I am here, it helps out so much because I know that like I could do that with these kids and future possible other children that I her and I bring into the world, and that's a
Right.
really really cool thing because I had the blueprint right in front of me, and it's just basically
Mm.
reading that book of life that dad kind of passed on, and um that's yeah, it's really cool. Being present is it's awesome. So I think like maximum effort in everything you do. Like if you're home, you're home. If you're at work, you're at work. If you're on the grind for content, you're on the grind. And then something that
Mm.
really helps too is there will be like stuff that happens just on the go, and I'll think of an idea, and if there's a free moment, then
Yeah.
I'll take it and do it. And having a little bit of structure to that too is important.
Yeah.
So definitely nowhere near the amount of time to write content that I had, but it makes you think like structure, like more structure with that is so important. And then really getting the most out of the time that you do have is important too. Like I don't have near as much time as I had before, but like I've grown even on the Simply Text channel. It's like, uh, really, really big because I do get the most out of the small amount of time that I have. And I think, my therapist and even my girlfriend says I might have like a little bit of ADHD. And I think that kind of helps when going from thing to thing, because I can't focus
Mm.
on something for too long.
Okay.
And I've been like that since high school too. I used to like chunk out my tasks in 15-minute increments. And like when you have such little time to work on something, you really, really do get it done. And
Mm.
like when you're like high anxiety too, like you do that. So that definitely helps.
Yeah, setting the tone and just getting it done. So, I mean, yeah, there's no other way around it. And honestly, I definitely, can testify to that. Sometimes I'll be like, I'll mark out like, oh, I need an hour to create content. It's like, I just end up wasting time for 45 minutes and
Yeah.
thinking about the content, So like, honestly, when you're busier, you're like, I ain't got time to think about it. Let's get it.
Yeah. If you don't have time, just go after it. And, ideas kind of fly out there. And then,
Yeah.
when I was at David Dobrik's house, and I learned a lot from him in those conversations and how he does it. Like he edits all his movies off iMovie, all of his YouTube content off iMovie. He has a Canon like 80D camera with no mic on top. It's like it's very kind of bare minimum stuff, like a 18 to 135 millimeter lens. He does like that thought on resourcefulness. Like he doesn't have like the crazy stuff that Jake Paul has, or some of these other bloggers have, or make excuses why they can't go because they don't have that stuff. He just does it, and it's worked for him since the beginning, and he still does it. He still holds that standard. So it's really cool to see that and learn that, and a lot of his ideas just happen on the go, and rolling with that, and knowing that that's totally okay. Like, you don't have to have like 50 million ideas written down and chopped through. Like, you just kind of have to get going with it. And that's a lesson in life too. Like, if you want to play sports, or if you want to start a business, do it. Geronimo did it. Like, he decided, he had that truck within 3 days, and it wasn't like a crazy big truck. It was a $750 beater.
Right.
And, he just did it, and Dad just did it, So I think it's really cool, like, watching other people do it and knowing that, okay, I could do that exact same thing too. And, that long ass hike to the mountain is so far away, but you just keep on going step by step, and eventually you're there. And then you have the next adventure, and it's climbing up the mountain and achieving that. And there's so many different mountains in life, man. Like you have a mountain with coaching and impacting people at such a huge level that you're doing. Like, it's taken a long hike to get to that mountain, and now you're climbing it. It took a long hike to get to where I'm at, and now I'm climbing it, and taking each step and each lesson for how it is, and trying to make the most out of it.
I think that's a beautiful, perfect place to leave off this podcast. Tex, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you? Make sure to follow you if they are not already.
You can find me on Instagram. I've been trying to push hard on growing on there. We hit the 100,000 milestone there.
Let's go.
So that was really cool. And then TikTok at Simply Tex as well. Pretty much everything is just Simply Tex. And I think that's I like that.
All right. Well, yeah, I appreciate your time so much today, Tex. We will talk again soon.
Of course, brother. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Bridging Impact Podcast. We'd love it if you would like, subscribe, leave a comment and a review on whatever platform you're on. It's the best way to help us grow. We appreciate you for doing that. We'll shout you out on social media. I'd also love if you connected with me on social media. Let me know your thoughts. And this is why I do it. I want to share knowledge and wisdom from experienced leaders to people like yourself and myself, so we can have this dialogue and move forward, make an impact on the world. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Cheers.